My name is Robert Christopher Wayne Weathers. I live at 3102 Center Hill Road, Anchor, Mississippi, 38841. I am under attack by Scientology. They are driving parasites through my biology, and I can also hear their voices. They are very hostile and demeaning. They are threatening me and my family. They are premeditating our deaths. So it appears that there is more space in the universe than humans can see. There are extra dimensions. There's another place and other particles which we cannot see while we are alive. We have biology in this extra place, extra dimensional biology. We utilize this biology to have an afterlife. Scientology is the practice of utilizing this extra dimensional biology before we die. They remove it from themselves and they utilize technology and techniques to turn it into an upper dimensional vehicle. So they can drive their upper dimensions around before they die, while they are still among the living. They utilize technology to do this, and this technology allows them to do several things. First, it allows them to create an upper dimensional vehicle out of their extra dimensions. So it allows them to drive their upper dimensions. Second, it allows them to create surrogates. So it gives them the ability to drive other organisms. They can drive humans, animals, insects, worms. Third, it allows them to assimilate themselves into a hive mind. So they interface technology with their neural tissue and their central nervous system. And this links them to a computer system. There they can interact with each other in a digital landscape, communicate with each other, and even have sexual relations with each other. And lastly, it artificially stimulates neural tissue. So first, they can isolate individual memories and neural connections, stimulate these neural connections and memories. They can control emotional states. They can make you see things, hear things, smell things, taste things. They can even allow you to feel each other's sexual organs. And then it artificially stimulates neurochemistry. So it elevates neurochemicals like dopamine, norepinephrine, serotonin. So the act of practicing Scientology is literally the act of removing body parts from organisms. Either you remove your own and you turn it into an upper dimensional vehicle, or you remove body parts from other organisms for transplant purposes or for surrogate making purposes. This is the practice of Scientology, body parts. And then they modify these body parts and they also install technology. So they insert foreign objects into their biologies, into other people's biologies. A large percentage of the people practicing Scientology have become criminal. They do things like kidnapping, exploitation. They force assimilation upon people. They traffic humans. They like to invade privacies. They like to invade homes and businesses. They like to use their upper dimensions as lookouts so they can break and enter in the third dimension in people's homes and businesses. Torture and rape is rampant among these people. They like to torture and rape people they don't like. They do it just for fun. They like to make surrogates to commit crimes, criminal activity. They use biological weapons of mass destruction so they can drive parasites. They can drive worms through human biologies, and they use them for weapons. and then they elevate their neurochemistry. First, they are conditioned to do body parts, which is a violent in nature, especially when they steal body parts from other people. Biological theft is one of them. Hello, fun people. That's great. I'm not being asked why I can talk. I'm a talking cat. So these people are conditioned to do body parts, to practice Scientology. On top of that, they are criminal. And then they are artificially stimulating neural tissue and elevating neurochemistry. It is causing severely negative psychological issues within these people. They are psychotic and delusional. They are very criminal, violent. They are extremely irritable. They have addictive behavior. They are jealous, petty, machoistic. And if you make them mad, they hurt you. They have a God complex. So I was kidnapped by these people 13 years ago. It falls in line with the time that I started or opened my Facebook account. As soon as I started participating in social media, I started experiencing strange communication, and it seemed like the public was invading my privacy. Then it got worse and worse because I'm a person of interest. I was a political activist and a literary genius. I participated in politics a lot. We persuaded elections, persuaded lawmaking, policy, discussed environmental issues. And I inspired a lot of people with my writing and I and my teachings. So someone decided to practice Scientology on me. There's an entanglement property between our third dimension and our inverse, between our third and our extra dimensions. If you remove our extra dimensional biology, we are still in it. We still inhabit this biology, especially brain and central nervous system tissue. So they practice a technique in which they remove brain tissue from a person's head and they put it into a storage system. So they put it into a little pod and they stick it into a wall. Yeah, these people are bigger than us. They have been they have been in the upper dimensions longer than we have. So they have been at a different rate of expansion longer than we have. They have become bigger than us. That's what I have observed. Yeah, it links everyone to a computer system. This is part of their hive mind tech. So shortly after assimilation, I got sick and people started communicating with me in a strange manner. I could tell that the public was invading my privacy, that normal people in the world could see into my environment, and they were using their observations to harass me. It seemed like they were trying to get me to do something wrong, to go crazy. So then I started getting sick. I started to feel things stuck in my head, in my ears, in my head, in my neck. Whole side of my face swelled up. So I started going to the hospital to get x-rays done, but there was nothing there. Looking back, now I know that it was inverse. There were extra dimensional particles. Yes, I'm very sick. I have severe brain damage and central nervous system damage. and my genitals are mutilated. So then they started attacking me with worms. And then they started stealing my intellectual property. They started stealing the things that I was working on. I wrote Crazy Bird Comics. I wrote the Environment Creation Agency. I wrote Divine Currency. I wrote Alien Bob, Bug Bob, and several others. And then it turned into biological theft. As time went on, they installed more and more technology, and they assimilated me deeper into the hive mind. I started to see things and hear things. So they started to remove neurological tissue. Brain pieces is what they call them, that that are responsible for my creativity and my intellect. They wanted the ability to do this for themselves, to write literature, to be creative, to be intelligent, to function as I do. So they started removing brain tissue for transplant purposes and for surrogate making purposes. That's half my brain is dead. They have me on some kind of life support system to keep me functioning. So they use me as a form of, uh, as they use me to make money and as a source of entertainment. So people paid, other Scientologists paid a lot of money to invade my mind space, to be able to read my thoughts. My psychology is attractive to them. It made them a lot of money. Then it turned into intellectual property theft. Then it turned into a snuff film. I keep getting victim shamed and harassed. They're trying to say it's my fault. And they're creating some kind of false narrative in which says that I've done something wrong to justify their criminal behavior towards me. They even say they've gone as far as manufactured evidence or staged events to make it look like I've done something wrong to somehow justify their behavior. I keep telling them it's a lie, and then due process of the law. I've lived my life with sickness and dysfunction because of these people. Scientology tortures, rapes, and murders people. And then they blame the victim. They have made, they have amassed trillions of dollars under with this event. I did nothing wrong. No, I did not. You can't put your hands on me. You can't touch me. Period. It is against the law. I'm a citizen of the United States of America. You can't touch me. Even with due process of the law, you there's only certain circumstances in which you can put your hands on me. Yes, they're sticking shit inside of me. Now it's turned into a science experiment. They're literally examining my brain tissue functioning as I write and create and articulate. And they're like, "Ooh, it's this part doing it." So they'll cut it off of me. They're like, "Nope, he's still doing it. It's this part." And now they're down to the nitty gritty. Now they know what it is. It's this part, and it's this part. He's saying it's my fault. He's saying I've done something wrong. The people holding my body. This is what I have experienced. You could say, well, they got some kind of nanotech or somehow they've installed some kind of third dimensional technology in my brain. It's making me see things and experience this. But I actually feel and experience my upper dimensions. I was in them when they were being removed, and it sucks. It's just like losing a body part, especially brain tissue. And they got to give you life support to keep you functioning and keep you from dying. So Scientology is literally the act of removing your extra dimensions before you die, your extra dimensional biology. And they utilize technology and techniques to turn it into an upper dimensional vehicle. So every 3 dimensions, you get another biology. Our biologies form in layers. What happens is energy is interdimensional. The energy that our biology is made of flows through the dimensions. So the next 3 dimensions past our third, it forms a new biology. But then there's more dimensions. So then it flows out through the dimensions and it forms another biology. And then it does it again and it forms another biology. So our entire biology looks like layers, a biology within a biology within a biology, like the little Russian dolls. Scientologists have figured out how to cut the layers off of themselves. So they wind up with 4 biologies in total, counting their third. But they can't survive like this. They can't function like this, and they can't survive the extremities of outer space this way. So they have to use organs and tissues from other humans and other species in an attempt to make themselves whole and to gain some kind of functionality. Plus, they utilize artificial stimulation to replace the biochemical electricity that comes from their brains while they're among the living. They can't produce it anymore while they cleave themselves this way. So they use organs and tissues from other humans. They use organs and tissues from lizards. They use insect body parts and they use worm body parts. So you wind up with a bunch of lizard people, a bunch of insectoids, and then you get the alien form. Then there's worm people. They like to stick their whole biologies in worms for some reason. There's a bunch of worm people running around. Ever since Scientology, ever since people started practicing Scientology, other people have been having encounters with aliens. And it's usually in their sleep or they see things. And then they wake up somewhere far away from where they went to sleep, not remembering anything that happened, probably naked or uh, having lacerations or wounds or sickness in some way. What happens is they get turned into a surrogate and they see aliens. And the aliens drive them around, probably out into the woods or into a field somewhere. And then they pass out and wake up not remembering anything that happened. This is Scientology doing this to us. So they covet body parts. They see body parts as a commodity. It is something they can use for a transplant, as a transplant for themselves. Or they can use it to make a surrogate, another biology in which they can drive. Or they can use it to help the owner access the upper dimensions. Or they can stimulate it and let the owner experience extreme pleasure or sexual activity. Or they can use it to assimilate you into a hive mind. It is an object in which they can make money with or utilize for their employment purposes. They are conditioned to do this. It is part of their conditioning. On top of this, they're twacked out with elevated neurochemistry, and they are very criminal. So anybody with authority or power or influence gets kidnapped by these people. Or if you're attractive, just attractiveness alone will get you kidnapped by these people for sexual purposes. Me and my family are extremely sick. I'm fighting worms at the moment, parasites in all dimensions. And they have done things like removed my upper dimensions and locked some of it out of entropy. What they lock it out of entropy so it falls through space time. It is no longer uh, accessible to us in space time. So what happens is it creates a barrier, and they like to wrap stuff around me put stuff on me, torture devices, and stick stuff inside of me so the worms can't come out. And I had to suffer. They call it sending people to hell. Torture and rape and murder is rampant among these people. So when they assimilated me 13 years ago, they started to try to control me. They tried to tell me what to do, how to do my job, when I could take breaks, when I could go to the bathroom, where I could go. And I screamed at them, "Get away from me, stop." And then more people came, and they were extremely hostile. They harassed me constantly. And then strange things started to happen. The people around me started acting weird. They had weird requests. They wanted me to go here and do things. My friends and my family and my coworkers and my neighbors and the people around me. And it always ended in catastrophe, like they planned it or something. And Scientology has constituents in every institution in our society: radio companies, media companies, marketing companies, internet companies, social media, tech companies, big business, politics, the government, politicians, the FBI, the CIA, the military. One of them just said, "How those worms taste." I get harassed constantly. These people are responsible for so much death and destruction and suffering. He just said they hate the human race. I think you're conditioned to practice Scientology. I think you're conditioned to cut people to pieces, so you're trying to justify it in your mind. Say, "Oh, now we're overpopulated," which gives you the right to kill people. You don't understand reality enough to come to those type of conclusions. A real scientist would say, "Yeah, we're overpopulated, but if we obtain a certain kind of behavior, it could be beneficial to the planet to have this many humans on it." That's my observation. If we all acted a certain way, like if we all helped life develop and grow, say if every one of us was out planting mushrooms and earthworms and funguses and helping trees develop and cutting down invasive species, then it doesn't look so much like overpopulation, does it? Looks like a bunch of humans helping life on the planet develop. They're experimenting on my brain tissue. Yes, they tried to use my upper dimensional brain tissue as transplants so they could somehow gain my intelligence, my ability to articulate. He says if they don't act better, then well, you too, bro. If you want population control, you too. How about you first? That solves the problem right then. If you want to kill a bunch of people, save the planet, you first. They're saying something about my bed. ECA is the way, the truth, and the Holy Ghost. It is a system that saves life on this planet, and us too. Not only saves life, it increases the quality of life and the experience and our longevity and our health. Wouldn't it be great if everyone was doctors? If everyone had a doctor level of education? We were specialized in our chosen field of study? If everyone had high intelligence and high morality? Wouldn't it be great if we all had smart houses and highly nutritious foods and state of the art clothing and communication devices? And wouldn't it be great if there was less traffic and pollution and habitat loss and more domesticated nature? If more people ate off the vine and less out of supermarkets and fast food restaurants. No, I'm not a surrogate. I am a genius the Scientology has kidnapped and exploited for money and for personal gain. S- There are Scientologists that have a problem with identity theft. They like to assume the authority and the presence of the people in which they afflict. So they force people into Scientology. They steal their biologies. And then all of a sudden they become that person. They can get up here and say, well, I have Obama's biology, so I can assume his authority and his presence on earth. And they do. And it's all the same person doing it. Yes, I'm very sick. Some of them try to give me comfort while this is happening, but I, I feel like death is imminent for me and my family. And they are trying to destroy the parts of me in which is me. You know, we all have a personality or a demeanor or an essence, so to speak. It is a sensory perception. Uh, it's a sensory perception that is us. It's like how we taste and feel. It's like we sense our genetic expression or our genetics. We all have a smell, and it winds up in our memories, the memories that we create. It is all of our sensory perception organs creating a memory at the same time, being stimulated at the same time to create a memory. It's how we smell and taste. We incorporate that into a memory. They're trying to destroy this part of me because I guess it's highly coveted by these people. They like the way my nerves feel or taste. Their hive mind technology allows them to sense our memories and our sensory perception organs functioning. Yes, they create aliens. The human genome produces an 11-dimensional organism with horns on our head. We have a myelin sheath and a head covering made out of keratin. Yes, it has horn. Most of the time, it has horns. We have to have a head covering and a myelin sheath to be able to survive the extremities of outer space. Whoever came before us, our predecessors, or the extraterrestrials, or whoever is responsible for the human genome, gave us these features so we could survive in outer space. And then Scientology comes along and chops it to pieces so people can go to heaven before they die. Our extra dimensions come with special abilities. We have very powerful eyesight. We can see in all dimensions down to the molecular level. In a healthy environment with a healthy biology, we can even do molecular transfer. We can move particles around with our eyes and we can fly. We literally fly through outer space when we die into the star field. That's what I have observed. They can we can interact with biologies in a very intimate way. We can see particles flowing through a biology. We can see fluids and the foods in our blood flowing through our biologies. We can see cells regenerate and function. We can see uh, neurochemical electricity, and we can see energy flowing through our brain and central nervous system. These are heavenly abilities. They can even manipulate genetic material, DNA, to help us develop features and to change our biology. They helped us develop an afterlife. That's the reason why we are Anunnaki. They helped us develop these features to survive in outer space. So Scientology is abusing our heavenly abilities to practice Scientology, to create surrogates, and to torture, rape, and murder people. One of them says, I'm on a hit list. Well, what's new? You've been killing me for 13 years and everyone else around me. These people have murdered so many people. And now people are asking for justice. You know what they do? They go kill some more people and call it justice. And I have reason to believe they are responsible for the coronavirus. And that most of the people that died from the virus actually died from parasitic infections. Because most people on Earth now have worms because of these people. Inner ear and tympanic problems. No, that's humus. Scientology is the practice of letting a human utilize their upper dimensions. So they help them remove their upper dimensions and modify them into a biology in which they can utilize in heaven while they are still alive. Preservation and humus is literally the act of removing people's biology, turning it into little Barbie dolls and sticking it on a shelf or sticking part of it into a computer system. And most of it is for surrogate purposes. It's like a spinoff of Scientology. It's part of the free zone. You got to pay a lot of money. These people are addicted to other people's body parts. End of story. They need other people's body parts for their Scientology purposes and for surrogate making purposes. And then we got social media and the marketing companies stealing people's brain tissue and putting it into a storage system in an attempt to invade privacy. Yes, I'm in my bedroom. Oh, they're trying to come up with any excuse they can to put their hands on me, which is bullshit. I've done nothing wrong, and I'm doing nothing wrong. This is no longer government secrets. Once upon a time, Scientology was reserved for only people like 33 degree Freemasons, 33rd degree Freemasons, or special agents, or skull and bones, or special people in the military. It was reserved for people of interest, people with authority, and we called them the Watchers. Well, I guess first it was the Watchers in ancient times. Only the Watchers could come up here and observe humanity from this perspective. Now everybody's letting their kids. We got little kids running around in outer space. Everybody and anybody. It's no longer a government secret. People got their families up here, and then their friends, and now they're using it for employment purposes. Media companies and marketing companies, social media, and then the government is going rampant on illegal surveillance on people. They have hundreds of thousands of people in a computer system for surveillance purposes, but it's really a couple of people are addicted to observing the human condition, which is it's it's logical because these people are they're supposed to be the professionals. These are the ones that want to study mankind. Yes, government professionals, but they're clacked out of their heads and they got brain damage, and there's no oversight. Yes, they're doing it for fun now. And then they find out, well, they can take a person's brain piece and give it little arms and legs and drive it around, or let these other people drive it around. Yes, I am part Native American and I'm part Caucasian. I wrote Crazy Bird Comics. I wrote the Environment Creation Agency. I wrote Divine Currency. I wrote Alien Bob, Bug Bob, and several others. Let me go get something to drink and I will go into more detail about my intellectual property. I'll put some coffee on. It helps me with my pain. So I wrote Crazy Bird comics. Crazy Bird, cyborg Native American warrior, which was done against my will. I did not choose to be a cyborg, and I not really am one. They are recording devices and then a phone service. No one is driving me, and I'm not utilizing any kind of technology to enhance my neurological abilities or cognitive abilities in any way. Nothing beats good brain tissue. Nothing. There's nothing in the world that beats good brain tissue. There's something about the ability to control a nerve cell and to produce your own bioelectrical energy. It is like the ultimate power for uh, computing information. Nothing beats it. I never wanted Crazy Bird to be public. I wanted to sit on it for a long time and say, no, I don't want him to be cyborg anymore, just a regular native. They got his head chopped to pieces. It came back to life, utilized uh, genetic engineering and maybe even symbiosis to help himself grow back and develop again. And then there's Thunder Beings. Crazy Bird is a Thunder Being. Supposed to be the last known Thunder Being, but I have witnessed several others in existence that I dare not speak about because then they'll become in danger. So Thunder Beings is about Crazy Birds seeking out other Thunder Beings to help save the planet. It's just another comic book idea. Then I wrote Buffalo Bob about Crazy Bird growing old and getting a name change, which a lot of Native Americans do. No, my real American Native name is They Are Addicted to Me. I got Paparazzi. Crazy Bird is my true name. Zinkala. It comes from an old Native American legend in which says whenever the world becomes fallen, and our environments become disastrous, the bird appears to be crazy. We start getting severe storms and natural disasters. So then I wrote the Environment Creation Agency, which is the government agency that replaces the Federal Reserve. It finally gives the people back the power to print money, but it can only be done in a certain way, in a controlled manner. So the Environment Creation Agency is a science council in which replaces the Federal Reserve. It consists of cabinets that pertain to each aspect of our reality. So there's a cabinet for medicine, a cabinet for housing, a cabinet for food and agriculture, a cabinet for wildlife and fisheries, a cabinet for communication, a cabinet for transportation, a cabinet for education, a cabinet for clothing, a cabinet for everything, so on and so forth. These cabinets consist of individuals that are highly trained pertaining to their field of study, pertaining to the cabinet. And these individuals have to meet certain requirements. First, they have to be trained in their field of study. Then they have to meet intelligence and morality requirements. So they have to have extremely high IQs, the best we can possibly produce. They have to be extremely intelligent. And then they have to be extremely moral. They have to have good behavior, and the decisions that they make have to be good for life on this planet. Okay, these cabinets approve the spending of divine currency or buffalo dollars. They are really buffalo dollars, but I was going to give God a gift. It's not working out very well. So buffalo dollars. These cabinets approved of spending. Getting attacked. These cabinets approved the spending of buffalo dollars. So buffalo dollars can only be spent on approved products and services. These products and services have to meet certain requirements. They have to be mil spec, state of the art, the best we possibly can produce. Like the medicine, our medicine has to be the best we can possibly produce. The best X-ray machines. Everybody gets an MRI. The best medical professionals and medicine we can possibly provide. The best housing. Our houses have to be state of the art. They have to come with like built-in computer screens and AIs and communication and light, gas, and water and internet. Yes, they have to have smart appliances and things like that. Whatever the people uh, agree upon, that's what we get. And our education has to be the best we can possibly provide. It has to not only teach us the standard uh, classes like science, arithmetic, biology, but it also has to help us develop good psychology, critical thinking skills, logic, but good psychology, good psychological conditioning, which is something different than what we are normally getting. Psychological conditioning is very complex. Like it teaches us what to be happy about, what to be excited about, like religion. It teaches us how to act around certain people. Like it's an input output thing or a reaction thing. We react to certain events or certain environmental stimuli, and this causes uh, actually chemical and hormonal changes within our biology. Like whenever I see the moon and stars, I get a very joyful feeling, and it elevates neurochemicals. A lot of people don't get that. Or when I learn something new or see a scientist talking about something that I'm interested in, it elevates neurochemicals, and I get um, a thought process change. That's psychological conditioning. We need to condition our kids to be attracted and get excited about the right things and to behave in a certain manner under certain conditions. Basically, illegal input. I've got tag alongs. These people like to tag along and try to experience my neurochemistry. And then they look ahead in the future and the things I'm going to say. And they like to come back and say they did it themselves. So once a transaction is made, once a product or service is purchased and a transaction happens, Buffalo dollars or divine currency is converted into normal currency. Can be spent under anything within the law. Exotic foods, entertainment, personal transportation, traveling, uh, anything within the law. That's the ECA, the Environment Creation Agency or Environmental Control Agency. And then I created divine currency or Buffalo dollars. And I wrote Alien Bob, Bug Bob, and several others. So Alien Bob and Bug Bob is about helping uh, life evolve into organisms in which can travel in space and colonize other planets. So I had this idea about helping lizard DNA, lizard organisms, reptiles gain sentience, and insects become big vessels that can fly through outer space and house lizard people and develop organisms that can survive on other planets. And I use Venus and Mars in my story because they're our neighbors. So Venus gets microbes and big flotation organisms and a little alien humanoids with a hard exoskeleton. And Mars is, I haven't really developed it yet. That's what it's about. Yeah, it started with space whales. I put water on the moon. I've been developing these stories my whole life. A little bit here and there. And then biology, Bob. I woke up in heaven and I seen God, the one of the Scientologists, in his workshop working on body parts, making little bitty humans. I thought, well, he's building an army. Well, what if we could make these little humans? I thought they were clones. Make little clones and then employ these people. Like we can make a little police Bob, or a little military Bob, or a little teacher Bob, or a little psychology Bob, or an environmentalist Bob, or a professor Bob, or a taxi driver Bob, and then send them out into the world to do their own jobs. Yes, I've been in God's workshop. That's what I call it. It's Yumas and preservation. If they damage this side of my inner ear and my brain, make my left eye or my right eye fall, my whole side of my face messed up. So then, upon closing, there's an important issue that I have to cover. It's one that's hard for humans to understand, but it's true. Our our third dimensions don't perceive time as it truly is. We see time as a linear event. We see the days passing one after another. Time is not actually a linear event. It is actually a simultaneous event. The past, the present, and the future happen at the same time. So the beginning of the universe and the end of the universe happen simultaneously. Our inverse or our heavenly bodies experience time as it truly is, as a simultaneous event. So at this very moment, these people are ordaining me 13 years ago, or assimilating me 13 years ago. And at this very moment, they are driving my father in the hospital, naming me at the moment. At this very moment. And at this very moment, they are murdering me. And at this very moment, they are interfering with my afterlife for doing something like that. At this very moment, they are torturing me a year ago. So they can look at time as they can uh, interact with the universe in a different way than we can in the third dimension. That's how they're getting away with it. So they can use this ability to get away with criminal activity and to create events that say, well, we made something valuable out of it. The truth is, I'm so valuable. I am part native and part Caucasian. My my literature saves the planet. So they at the end of this story, they can say, well, uh, we created a little Christian martyrdom story and saved the world when it would have happened without them. So, from what I have observed, they are responsible for at least part of my genetics. They tag along. They have been tagging along to my Native American genetics for a long time. They're tag alongs. And they've seen this story happen because I just so happened to get assimilated, which gave them the ability to see my future. And they wanted it to happen again because there's the ECA, it saves the planet. It would have happened without them. It should have been thanks for the genetics. I'll see you in the classroom. That's what it should have been because that's what happened. The guy that made me, he was sitting with my teacher and she taught me how to write. He's sitting with Charles Darwin as he studies the animals in the world and writes his books. The guy that created me he's sitting with Neil deGrasse Tyson as he teaches the world or shows the world the stars. He is not cutting my head to pieces, sticking shit inside of me saying, "Ooh, I did all this myself." No, the guy that created me is keeping you off of my vitals so I can do my job and retire. Scientology has fucked the world up. Heaven is in distress. There are so many sick and dying people in all dimensions. That's population control. I'm gonna go drink my coffee.